All right, so explain the reason why Hitler and the Nazi Party targeted the youth in Germany. What was the importance of the Hitler Youth organizations? All right, so there you go. There you go.
Is this what my grade of this is supposed to be, or is this supposed to be changed? Because you said you didn't see the other one. Then I
I
showed
put it
you
on
the-
Sapphire.
Oh, okay. It's just not.
Canvas I mean, I put them in right initially that grade, and on Canvas or on Sapphire change it. All right, so yesterday we talked about the Hitler Youth Organization, why they were created. Well, why were they? Why were they? Why were they? Why? Thank you.
Because their minds were easily persuaded, and that they were the future of Germany.
All right, yeah, good job. So future generations, right, depend on the youth, obviously. And when it comes to manipulating, when it comes to making an impression, right? All these children, it's easy to do at a young age. So for Hitler, his first goal as he's becoming the Fuhrer, we talked about how he did so through this enabling act and how he utilized this fire at the Reichstag, the Capitol building, going up in flames to really grab this power through that enabling act. And the first thing he did, again, was target the youth, a way to try to persuade the masses and to try to prepare a strong country that is just embodied in its viewpoints and is accepting these viewpoints to the extreme, and won't accept any other political opposition, let's say, and try to be loyal to Nazism and Hitler. So he first screened the teachers, right? Screened these school districts, these universities, these colleges, and to make sure that these professors, these teachers were, up to speed when it comes to their Nazi beliefs, this Nazi ideology. Okay, talking about these themes that should be really emphasized on within school. So much so that they went to a point to try to promote this Aryan culture, this Aryan race, blonde hair, blue eyes. So for the pictures I showed you yesterday on the slide, there's one like a cartoon where all the children had blonde hair. You couldn't see their eyes, but they have blue eyes, right? White skin. And this was to teach about the other races, how they were inferior to the Aryan culture. So this is what literally went on in these Nazi, all these German schools, districts all across the country, and a way to try to prepare this next generation under the themes of Nazism. Right, so they talk about race science, stereotypes of other different types of ethnic groups, obviously especially Jews, to show that they are this undesirable race, this undesirable culture, that they need to be pushed out of society. Right? So when we talk today about Kristallnacht, you can kind of see exactly where this is going, what direction, right, this hatred is aiming towards to try to eliminate these people from German society. All right, also we talked about these camps, right? Like Boy Scouts on steroids in a way, to try to emphasize strong will, right? Emphasize even more of a war game scenarios for these children. So to emphasize and really focus on utilizing weapons, different types of grenades, how to throw a grenade properly, how to prepare yourself for warfare, how to prepare in the elements, right? Living out in the cold, out in the wildlife, for long periods of time. So, in other words, try to prepare for war. Okay, so constantly, these children, okay, the youth, moving into adolescence, they would focus on this. If you're young, you couldn't, let's say, get involved in these games just yet. A lot of times they would focus you on cleaning up the city, hanging up propaganda posters, right? And everywhere you went, right, you'd be hailing Hitler. So it won't be hello or hi, it would be hail Hitler, and you just kind of keep moving on your day. Right? Showing this, I guess you could say, nationalism, this patriotism for Hitler. Okay? Everywhere you went. Okay? These kids viewed him as a god. And yeah, I know I showed you that movie trailer yesterday, JoJo. Kind of hits on this, and then it also shows a lot of the emotional stresses that these kids go on through this indoctrination process. These kids viewed Hitler, the Nazi Party, and Hitler as a god, and wanted to focus on trying to impress him every chance they got, every duty they had, and hanging up posters and flags in their rooms. This literally became an obsession for many of these individuals and these Hitler youth camps and organizations. Children of Nazi Germany. So yeah, I know the movie a little fabricated in some cases, but for the most part, this was stress on. And this is exactly how these kids feel focused on their loyalty to the Nazi regime. Right? They were literally brainwashed. So much so after the war, I guess you'd say the plan for the Allied powers to try to denazify Germany and try to really take these views out of the minds of these kids. It's tough to do, really hard to do. So much so that there's many different types of factions and organizations and groups that formed after World War II that kind of carry on the torch for Hitler and this Nazi party, causing a lot of stresses, a lot of kind of terrorism all throughout Europe and the rest of the world. So yeah, it's really hard to denazify the youth in this case, try to strip them from these ideals after the war. All right, so we also talked about the League of German Girls, right? So when it comes to trying to prepare women at a young age for, being the proper housewife, trying to prepare the house and home for the man, right? As they're fighting over in these wars and in these constant conflicts, and try to be loyal to the Nazi cause. So very similar. It wasn't just to boys; it was to girls as well. Right? This indoctrination. All right, is there any questions? The Hitler Youth. No? Okay. All right. So now we're going to move to Kristallnacht. And like I said, we will talk more about this towards the end of the year, really. And at the end of the chapter, we'll focus on the Holocaust and see the step-by-step progression here of this terrible, terrible event. Okay, that took place. So here are your terms for today. There you go. So you got Kristallnacht and the Gestapo. All right. So Kristallnacht, what does it mean? What does it mean? Why? Go ahead. Thank you.
It was like a few days of just when German Nazis attacked like Jewish people and the property.
Yeah, okay, good, good. So this is known as the Night of Broken Glass. So 1938, following what we know as the Nuremberg laws. What were the Nuremberg laws again? What were they? What did they do? Parker, go ahead.
Laws that basically made it legal to persecute Jews.
Yeah, okay. So 1935, shortly after Hitler becomes the Führer supreme leader, he puts out these laws that targets Jews, right? Tries to segregate them from society, and in a way, putting them in these places where they have to wear the Star of David on their jackets, their shirts. Put them in the homes, right, in the windows of their homes, and the businesses that they might own, the restaurant that they might own, to show that they are the villain, right? That they are the enemy of the German Aryan race and Aryan culture. So just a review of that, the Nuremberg laws, what we talked about. Okay, so 1935, that was created. Also, we talked about how it was illegal for any of the German citizens to have any type of relationships, marriages with any people of Jewish descent. So this was a way to try to outcast them, try to force the German societies to say, hey, no, we're not going to eat at your restaurants. We're going to try to really try to focus away from your businesses. And in other words, they fail. This is a way to try to outcast them out of society. Right, and then we have here the night of broken glass. Okay, so we'll talk more in detail here with the notes, and you have a reading for you. Bless you.
Sorry, I'm allergic to beating.
Oh, darn. Okay, all right. So with that, okay, this is another step closer to what we know as the Holocaust, as this is kind of starting off right away. As Hitler's becoming the Fuhrer, he's throwing out these plans right in his initial steps as becoming the supreme leader. So with Kristallnacht, the night of broken glass, okay, this is the destruction of many Jewish homes, businesses, cemeteries, synagogues, right, places of worship, all throughout Germany. Okay, it didn't happen in one single location. This happened all throughout the country. So paramilitary groups like the SA, which is kind of like this embodiment of the Nazi Party. So groups of people that were just focused with Hitler and his viewpoints. The Gestapo, okay, this is the secret police finding these Jewish people within the homes that might be hiding, let's say, in the homes of many German citizens' homes, whoever might be hiding them. Okay. So yeah, this was the destruction of all these Jewish property, homes, cemeteries, synagogues, places of worship. And there's many people that died and were imprisoned from these events. Okay, so we'll talk about that here today. And then the Gestapo, I just kind of gave that one away. The secret police here for the Nazi Party, as they would try to hunt down these Jewish people that might be seeking refuge in houses and homes, and different types of buildings all throughout Germany, trying to hide away so that they won't be deported to these concentration camps. So there's a lot of instances, a lot of shows, okay, movies that you can maybe look into that kind of emphasizes this point. Anne Frank, obviously, the story of Anne Frank, detailing how she hid away for a long period of time away from the Gestapo and the harsh realities of the Nazi Party, trying to pull them from these homes as they had to hide in different locations throughout homes and houses all throughout Germany. Right, and Jojo Rabbit, right, that was a good example too, where that young girl was hiding in the home of that Hitler Youth, right, that the Hitler Youth home, the house, and they kind of stumble across each other just one day, and how he builds emotional connection with her. All right, so with that, let's get to it. All right, so Kristallnacht, the Night of Broken Glass. So 1938, okay, this was shortly after a German diplomat, a Nazi diplomat that was killed in Paris, right? This was the justification for these events. So there was a Nazi official in Paris around 1938, and he was killed by a Polish Jew. He was assassinated by a Polish Jew. And with that, this just gave aim for Hitler and the Nazi Party to unleash these harsh attacks on the Jewish people that are residing in the German country. So this was his excuse, in other words, to unleash this hell across Germany. So with Kristallnacht, again, it's known as the Night of Broken Glass because all the homes, businesses, the synagogues, all the windows, the buildings were torn apart, okay, and destroyed all throughout the streets of these German cities, towns, villages, you name it. Okay, so the Nazi military, the paramilitary groups like the SA, like I just talked about, okay, the Hitler Youth Organization's children, right? Men and women that were once, let's say, neighbors, friends with these Jewish people in German society as Hitler took power and literally manipulating the masses to target these individuals. Well, you can only imagine how hard that would be on a person. All of a sudden, you have this friendship. Well, you have this friendship with someone for a long period of time, and all of a sudden, because Hitler's new state-controlled power is emphasizing this hatred towards this group, having you turn on it, and having you build this hatred against, let's say, your one-time friend and neighbor, and to a point where you destroy their homes, you rip them from their homes, you outcast them in the streets, try to humiliate, harass them, in many cases, lynch them, kill them to death on the streets, and this is A-OK for the Nazi Party, right, for what happened in Germany in 1938. So these businesses were destroyed. They were looted. All their resources, all their materials taken away. Yeah, obviously, you can't really make it back from that, right? And this would be another example, another step forward, closer to actually pushing these people out of society. So yeah, you got the Nuremberg laws in 1935, and now in 1938, You have Kristallnacht, which is kind of a step closer to what we know as the concentration camps and the death camps. All right, so with that, they not only just targeted homes, businesses, but also synagogues, places of worship, so like their churches, and destroyed them, burned them to the ground. And fire departments were aimed to try to make sure that the flames don't carry over to, let's say, a German citizen's home, a German citizen's business, whatever it might be. They were told that, hey, let the fire burn down the business, home, Jewish people, or the synagogue, but make sure the fire just doesn't spread next door. Okay, make sure you just protect that. So you can only imagine what kind of, just emotion, sheer emotions going through these people's minds and their hearts, obviously, that the state is just going against them. Okay, as they were providing a lot of structure and stability with their institutions that were in place in Germany for a long period of time. Now all of a sudden just totally taken away. Also, they targeted, right, any type of literature. So obviously when it comes to books and articles, we talk about the book burning and to trying to destroy their history, their origins, their culture that they might have infused within German society. So literally tossing them out in the streets and burning up any type of materials they might have or own that links back to, let's say, Germany, trying to eliminate this history from the German society, the Aryan race. All right, so with that too, they also destroyed cemeteries. Why would they try to destroy these cemeteries, these tombstones? What was the reason for this? Why do you think they would target these cemeteries and tombstones? Why? Go ahead.
So there was no trace of snake.
Yeah, exactly. Right, exactly. So just totally eliminating their history, their culture from these locations, from these areas throughout Germany. You just tear away their history, their culture, their business, their home, destroy their place of worship. Well, they're not going to want to stay there too long. It shows that the state wants them out. It shows that Germany, Nazi Germany, wants them out of these regions, of these areas in the country. All right, so in the process, 200 Jews were killed. So 200 were lynched, killed, beaten down, again, by once time friends, neighbors, and just turned against them because Hitler's movement, Hitler's ideology, and this manipulation. If you don't go along with these acts, well, you were seen as a traitor yourself. You're seen as a person going against Hitler's viewpoints, and chances are you might be thrown in the mix. All right, so 600 injured and thousands arrested. So thousands actually deported to different locations all throughout the eastern part of Germany, okay, to be housed in a concentration camp and to a work camp, which will later be turned into a death. So these are the starts here already, okay, the origins of what we know as the Holocaust. Again, we'll focus on this in detail at the end of the World War II chapter. Okay, I just want to introduce it now, though, because it kind of shows exactly this Hitler's master plan being unveiled, being rolled out right away as he becomes the Führer. All right, is there any questions here on Kristallnacht? Okay, all right. So here's your assignment. I'd like you to do a little bit more further reading. Oh, you didn't sneeze this time, Chris. No sneezing this time. All right, so here's your assignment. Oh, so it's called Kristallnacht right here on canvas. And what you're going to do is just read through the article, which is attached here, and then answer the questions, which are here. There you go. There you go. So you got the rest of the time here to work on. It is due tomorrow. It is due tomorrow.